Morning, everybody. Epic day for the organisation. So it's easy to talk the talk, but you've got to walk the walk yourselves. So who's been to the gym this morning already? Damn. I was hoping I was going to be the only person who could say that and stand here with a halo. Anyway, well, there we are. But only 4 out of 400. Come on, you can do more than that. I only say that because actually, the word responsibility has been used already a couple of times. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whenever half term was, I went to Chessington World of Adventures for a meeting. And it was one of the most profoundly depressing places I think I'd ever been, because it seemed to me like I'd walked in on a convention of fat and overweight people. It was horrifying, and I wanted to go and stand on top of one of the rides and just shout and saying, could we not rebrand this as the Chessington World of Activity, or Chessington World of just any kind of physical health? Because I was just appalled by it, and it just, living where I do, which is very near a school, every morning I just see people walking down the streets, heading to school, and I think, who's actually guiding you for your future? Because it certainly isn't the parents, because you only look at the school gate at 3:30 in the afternoon to realize that the children are the products of their parents. And so I do think the health industry and sport in general has got a massive responsibility, not just for now, but for the future, but perhaps for now even more, because this was supposed to be the year, wasn't it? This was the year, 2012, when sport and health and physical activity were going to be moved up to the very, very top of the agenda, of all the agendas. And my concern is, sounding a bit of a downbeat note initially, but I hope as the afternoon goes on or the day goes on, we will be energized and realize that I'm being unnecessarily pessimistic. But my just concern is that, and that's why this organization has to rebrand now, and you have to kick on now, is my worry is that when 2012 becomes 2013 and 2014 and 2015, where will that legacy be? Will the Olympic Games not just be a fantastic fleeting memory that we all enjoyed and say, wasn't that the greatest summer we ever had? Whatever happened to it? Oh, well, it was a long time ago. And that is my biggest concern about what's happened over the last few months. And my year, there's only 41 days left, or maybe 40 days left of 2012. There's not long to galvanize people before we suddenly move into the future. My sporting year began in January with a gathering in front of a very similar number of people of this in the East End of London, where I was speaking on behalf of the Olympic Games in a very hostile room. And there was a local councillor who was speaking against the Olympic Games. And I was sort of saying how wonderful it was going to be, and we were going to inspire a generation, and we were going to do this, we were going to do that, and people were going to have more PE in schools and things like that. And he stood up anyway and just said the whole thing was nonsense, it was a complete waste of money, and, real sort of showboating to the auditorium, was saying, how many of you have got elderly and aged grandparents? What sort of care homes are they in? Think how much better those care homes would be if we weren't frittering all this money away on ridiculous bits and bobs. And then, what's the public transport system like where you live? I bet it's rubbish. Think how many more buses and how much better the trains would be. Anyway, it came to a vote at the end of the evening about whether the Olympic Games were going to be great for London or whether they weren't. And I lost resoundingly by sort of 65, 35, 70, 30%, and I got the train home that night actually quite depressed, because I was thinking, God, we're only 6 months out from the Games, and there's still that residual antipathy towards it in a key part of the country. Anyway, fast forward 6 months, we all know what happened. On the morning after the closing ceremony of the Paralympic Games, I just opened my computer, a few emails. There was a very, very brief one from the councillor. Just said, Dear John, you were right, I was wrong. Best wishes, councillor, whatever his name was. And I just thought, even that miserable curmudgeonly git got it. But the point is, what's he doing about it? What are his fellow councillors doing about it? What are you all doing about it? It's all very well saying, wasn't it amazing, and hurrah, and let's have another glass of champagne. But it's about what we're going to do about it, because the biggest betrayal and the continued prevarication about the Olympic Stadium is a disgrace to sorry for being so forthright to one of the people in the room. It's an absolute continued disgrace that's going on at the moment, and it's not doing sport as a whole any favours. But what we mustn't do is we mustn't betray what's happened this year and the efforts that so many people have put in by allowing what should be a great sporting legacy, and in the context of today, a great health legacy, to be lost. So that's my kind of soapbox bit before the people who actually have influence come up in a moment are going to speak. I would just say at the start as well, thank you very much to all the sponsors who make this possible, because sport, whatever it is, whether it's conferences, whether it's sporting activity, sport doesn't happen without the sponsors. So thank you very much to them. As far as the format for today is concerned as well, we've got 3 breakout sessions immediately after lunch. Last year, half the people shoved off at lunchtime, and they missed some really, really interesting and stimulating stuff after lunch. So I would exhort you, even though I know you've got to go to work and things like that, we've got some really, really good sessions after lunch, not least of which we have got an Olympic legacy discussion with people who know about these things, people right at the heart of it. Richard Cabourne's going to be speaking. Kate Walsh is in the room, Great Britain hockey captain who had a head decapitated and came back to win a bronze medal. We've got Tanni Gray-Thompson, you know, Mrs. Goddess, Paralympic sport, Kate Hoey, MP, and also Sally Gunnell. So people who really understand sport, who understand it from a political point of view, from an activity point of view. We've got a fantastic panel to round things off. Plus, after that, lots and lots of drinks, which are all non-alcoholic, which obviously will encourage you to maintain your physical peak that, looking around the room, you are all obviously at. So that's the sort of plan of campaign for the day. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And the most important thing of all, genuinely, is we're starting off with Anna Soubry, the Public Health Minister, but for all the sessions that we have, there's going to be an opportunity for you to engage with the people up here on the podium. So please don't sort of sit like this in sort of a cowed kind of way. Today, you'll get much more out of today if you engage in it, get involved in discussions. And if we have heated debates, so much the better, I think, because that's, in a sense, what we need to have. We need to get a consensus of what this industry needs to be doing in the future, and we won't get that if everybody just sits on their hands and says nothing. So please, when you get the opportunity, and Anna will be the first guinea pig, she's going to speak for about 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we've got 10 minutes of Q&A. After her, please don't be bashful. If you've got points you want to make, just say them, because I'm sure she will give more than she gets. So, without further ado, would you welcome, please, Anna Soubry MP, Public Health Minister.